Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is Tyler Mitchell from CP Digital, and I'm joined here today with James Powell from JP Global. JP Global is one of our partners who create dashboards for us on behalf of our customers. And this is a great tool for having insight into really any sort of data set that you have. Typically, what we see when people are moving more to digital formats and they're getting more of their processes and information into the digital space. Once that information is in there, you can do a lot with it. And what the dashboard seeks to do is consolidate that information or display it in a way that makes sense for you. So what we're about to show you is one of the builds we've done. This one is for our customer Chapman Auto Stores. And in their particular use case, they have 7 different rooftops and they needed to understand where that spend is going. And you can drill down in however you want. So in this instance, we have this configured to the way that makes sense to them. And with that, I'm going to hand things over to James, and he'll walk us through the tool that he has here for us. So thank you for joining us, James, and I'm going to hand things over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are. Thanks for jumping on here and taking a look at what we have to show you today. Just like Tyler said, the whole idea of being able to measure your information, understand what's happening in your business, for example, and as we move toward a digital world, right, where we are gathering information and have data inside of our systems, how can we leverage that, right? How can we utilize that information from a business perspective to determine and predict business outcomes, to measure our business success? And we can really do that with a business intelligence tool, right? The CP data dashboard allows you now to connect into these siloed and disparate systems and really bring your information together to begin measuring your KPIs and different metrics that you may be wanting to hit as a company. So first thing I kind of want to show you guys a little bit here is an example of what your dashboard may look like. These dashboards are completely customizable and configured and tailored around your specific business needs. That's the beauty about the business intelligence platform itself, is that it's not so much out of the box, right? It is definitely configured around what you're trying to measure. But to give you an example here of what a dashboard may look like. So this is one for Chapman Auto Stores there in the Pennsylvania area, and you can see now how an individual, maybe that's a manager or an individual within that company, can log into the dashboard or at least access the dashboard in some fashion to be able to see certain metrics that are occurring, right? In this particular case, this is more tailored toward accounting, where you can now do a breakdown to see spend by month, for example. Here we can see total spend, and then as well as spend by a particular vendor. If you notice, as I hover my mouse over different areas on the dashboard here, it gives me a toolbar right here, but it also is dynamic and functional. And so what do I mean by that is it's not just a static page. We can actually limit and set certain parameters in real time to update the dashboard. So for example, on the store side, if I just wanted to see the Chapman Nissan location, as I check off that parameter, the dashboard does update, as you can see here, in real time. So I can drill down now into specific areas right within my business to see exactly perhaps what is occurring and get those granular details that maybe I just don't have access to today, or maybe in order for me to get those, there's a very manual process involved, right? Maybe that's downloading information from Excel into Excel and doing a bunch of manual calculations or such, or maybe it's taking information from different systems and bringing it all into Excel, copy and pasting in order to get that. Instead, you can leverage a business intelligence platform like this that can handle and automate a process like that. So that's just one example there. I want to show you just a couple others just to give you an idea again of what these dashboards may look like. Here's one from an IT project management perspective. Okay, of course, this could be maybe a construction project management as well. Maybe you're a contractor or such. Again, just to give you a different idea and a different flavor of what a dashboard or what your dashboard may look like and what you're trying to measure. So again, on here, we can choose different projects if we want to. We also have different phases of the project that maybe perhaps we want to drill down into. So if I just want to see maybe these four here, right? Again, as you select your certain parameters, the dashboard does update there, and I can drill down even more with the tool that shows up as I hover my mouse over the certain areas. So again, a couple things that we're measuring here: actual cost of the project performance from a budgeting perspective, right? See on here time versus a phase plan as well, how we're doing there. So again, whatever you're trying to measure internally, right, we can build out those KPIs within the dashboard itself here. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of take a step back real quick. And again, this is a cloud-based platform, and so you don't have to require a server in-house or anything. It's very simple to configure, get implemented, and be on your way when it comes to measuring your information. But how do we get there, right? How do we actually do that? So kind of just want to walk you quickly through what that process may look like. So first and foremost, what we want to do when establishing our dashboard is we want to go ahead and establish our connection to our data source. And so we'll come over here and click Add New. And the business intelligence platform does have thousands of connectors. So if you're perhaps concerned or worried if we are able to even connect into your systems, I rest assured, I'm very confident we should be able to, right? It's very rare, if ever, that we find a system that we cannot get data from, okay, in some fashion. But we do have thousands of connectors to connect into those different systems and begin accessing that information. Okay, some of the popular ones you may see our SQL Server, for example. We have QuickBooks here, example as well. But it could even be just an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Drive sheet, for example, too. Those are all areas we can pull data from. Once you've established your connection, the next thing you want to do is then go ahead and massage and manipulate and scrum your actual data, okay? And so the business intelligence platform does come with a complete data warehouse where you can store your information, mark it up, change it, combine and fuse data together to ultimately get it into the format that can now be utilized for measuring and creating those KPIs. So I'll give you an example. Maybe perhaps you want to connect your M-Files system with your accounting software, for example, and you want to pull data from both systems and be able to measure how many invoices are in M-Files but have not made their way into the accounting software just yet. You want to compare your payables from both. We can pull data again from both systems and then do a comparison within this intelligence platform to show you that dashboard of where your invoices are at. Okay, so the whole idea now is being able to connect again those siloed systems inside your organization, bring all that information together into a single screen, a single dashboard that now you can start making decisions off of. What you're looking at right now is the area now where we can again mark up some of that information. Okay, so this is kind of that built-in data warehouse area where again we can apply certain tools to get the data into a format that is actually usable and measurable. Okay, we can do things like aggregations, calculated columns, for example, where we can incorporate some T-SQL logic to massage information. We can create filters, find and replace information, normalize and standardize data here as well. So I just want to show you a couple examples of what that may look like on this particular data set. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up in the first actual markup here that we have, and you'll see here that the system is looking for anything in the opportunity name column where it says pending or some sort of form of pending with a capital P instead of a lowercase p, for example, hold, and then pending all capitalized as well. If it finds any of that information, it's going to replace it with a 1, okay? When it does that, it's then going to filter out everything that does not have 1. So the whole idea there is that we're looking for rows of data that have that pending or hold in it, and we want to disregard it. We don't want to include it in our data sets. So in this particular case, we found that information, replaced it with a 1, and then we said filter out everything that doesn't have a 1 now in that data set. So very, very simple logic that's being used there, but to give you an idea again of what's possible and how we can begin to mark things up. Here's an example of being able to standardize data inside the data warehouse. So again, looking at a particular column, what is the method? Does that column contain a certain character? If it does, what do you want to replace it with? Okay. In this case, we find a slash, a forward slash, and if we do find that, replace it with nothing. So we essentially want to eliminate that forward slash inside our data set itself there. It also gives you a preview here on the right-hand side. And so now your data can go through this journey here, step by step, of where all of this information is being again modified and changed, until ultimately it gets into the format below, where now you can utilize that information for measuring purposes. Okay, and again, this is all comes with the system built in. No need for a third party to perform these operations. Once you have your data now established into an easy to use and configurable format, the next thing, of course, is going to be actually building out your dashboard here. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this area, and I'm going to go back here. And at that point now, we can build out our actual dashboards. Okay, so the dashboard configure is very simple. It's a UI-driven, drag and drop driven UI where you can go ahead and quickly build out your widgets within there. So let me show you an example. Maybe we could go back to that dashboard here, for example, and if we wanted to modify that or such. So on the left-hand side, as you can see, we have all of our widgets available for us to choose from, and we can simply just drag and drop a widget over to the right-hand side. So if I wanted to grab over here, we'll say another chart, and I want to do another bar chart on here somewhere. Don't have a lot of room right now, but I can go ahead and put that down here, mark up the different sizes, of course, here, and we can begin to establish what that may be measuring. Okay, so very simple drag and drop. Again, training is involved with the system. We can certainly train yourself on how to configure the dashboard here as necessary. So just want to make you aware of what that looks like there. Once you have your dashboard built, the next thing is going to be now setting your data schedule and your data refresh schedule to be specific. And so within the system, we can incorporate automation. What I mean by automation now is we can actually now build in how often your data schedule is going to run, how often that data is going to be refreshed. So maybe perhaps you need your dashboard updated every minute. Maybe you need it as live as possible. Maybe you perhaps only need it refreshed once a day or once a week, depending on your organization's needs. we can build in that data refresh within the platform. There's no need for you to do it manually. There's no need for you to do a download of data, put it into Excel, yourself, and again, manually update everything. It's all performed in the background for you automatically by the platform here. You can see we can set that on a daily basis at particular times or intervals as necessary here in the system. Beyond that, from an automation perspective, we can also trigger alerts. So if maybe perhaps you're tracking IT tickets, and if your count or quantity of IT tickets in the queue grows beyond, I don't know, we'll just say 20, for example, maybe that triggers an alert. Maybe that triggers a notification to the manager in support saying, hey, we're hitting excessive levels or volumes of IT tickets. Let's make sure that we are pulling in additional staff members, for example, to handle the volume. Or maybe we should look into perhaps is there a reason why all these tickets are coming in now, right? So we can trigger in some alerts into the system, as well as perhaps your KPIs are hitting certain thresholds on the dashboard. Okay, so that's tends to be nice if you're trying to hit certain again, certain levels as a business. Okay, if you have certain SLAs, for example, or such. Okay, so just want to make you aware of that and that automation that we can incorporate into the system. I'm going to go back to my dashboard area and just give you another example too of what a dashboard may look like. More and more commonly, this is also being used in the sales area. And so folks that want to see, as a sales representative, wants to see a pipeline, for example, and wants to see maybe all their prospective clients and who to follow up on. I'm trying to find that particular one that I want to show you. It was in here somewhere, but we can show that pipeline then of information from a sales perspective. Let's see, let's go back over here. Sorry about that. There's a particular dashboard, here it is, that I wanted to show to you guys here as well. So if I choose my date, I don't have anything current here, but if I go back to, let's say, January 1st, and we'll update, there we go. So we have some information for those dates. So you can see here, it's a very simple, straightforward dashboard from a sales perspective, a sales representative's perspective, to see how many orders that they had processed or closed within that particular time frame. What is the total commission received on those orders? And then also the actual order list that they can drill down into as necessary at the bottom here. So very simple, very straightforward, but also very effective, where you can now log in each morning or each week and be able to review this with your manager, but also just track yourself, your progress throughout the year, right? Keep in mind too, as you can see, we do brand these dashboards, so we can brand it with a company logo, as well as have the look and feel from a colors perspective here too. Okay, so these dashboards can be public facing. You can embed these onto your website. Otherwise, of course, they can just be internal facing too. All right. The last thing I want to show you real quick that I personally love myself is what we call a binder. So this is an example of that here. You'll notice I have a single dashboard in front of me, but on the top left, I have a couple tabs here. And so we can actually incorporate multiple dashboards in a single area without having to close out and go back into another section of the software platform. So this is great if you have multiple companies or you have multiple departments. Maybe as an owner, you want to be able to log in and see every department very quickly. This can work in a number of areas within your business here. So I can now just click on each individual tab and see different dashboards very quickly. I can go back and forth here and look at, again, these could be different departments, for example, or different processes. I can even embed digital forms or other sorts of software applications or websites into the tab as well. So this is an example of embedding a web form into a tab here that I can fill out information and complete if necessary, depending on my process and how I'm leveraging the actual business intelligence platform here. So again, a number of tools, a number of features available to you that come with the platform itself. But yeah, with that being said here, in terms of getting started with the CP data dashboard here, you can be as self-reliant as you would like on this. So you certainly have the ability for us to train you and get become knowledgeable on the platform and build out your dashboards yourself. Or if you don't want to take the time to learn another platform, you can lean on Copy Products or on JP Global to perform those services for yourself, and we can handle all that and make sure everything's taken care of for you there. So we can offer as a full service option as well. The good news is these projects do not take very long. Most customers are up and running in just a couple of days, and they're able to extract and see that information very quickly. So just keep that in mind there too. But again, I'll leave you with this. It's the idea of connecting different systems, bringing information together now, and being able to provide real-time insights into certain KPIs and metrics within your business very quickly, very effectively. But yeah, with that being said here, thank you guys for your time. I'll pass it back here to you, Tyler. I think we have some questions actually before we end here in just a few minutes.
Thank you, James. We do have a few questions to address here. The first one is a question about licensing. Does every person require a license for this?
Great question. Yes. So the way the licensing works with the system, and it is a named user license model. So if you need to authenticate into the platform, you do require a license for yourself. But with that being said here, we have what's called a shared link option. And so what that involves or entails is if you don't need specific permissions to the platform itself or to a dashboard, you can just create a shared link where everybody can see everything on that dashboard. A user license is really only needed if you are either creating dashboards and being an admin, or if you need certain permissions on a dashboard. So for example here, if I'm a sales rep that logs in and I'm only allowed to see my own metrics or my own printer, I would have to be able to log into this and consume a license so that I only see maybe Ryan's metrics on here, right? So I just want to see Ryan and nobody else. I would have to authenticate in so the system knows who I am. And if I'm authenticating in, I do consume a license for the platform. So that's the only little thing to really know about in terms of the licensing is if you have to authenticate in to see certain things. Otherwise, we can just create a shared link and keep licensing very, very low on that named user license perspective.
Okay, very good. If a person has data in an Excel spreadsheet, can we use that for reporting?
Yes, absolutely. So the data or information itself does not have to be inside a system today. It does not have to be inside another software application or in a database or such. It can just be in Excel that you perhaps add information into, and then maybe you want the automation around that Excel sheet. Maybe it's a Google sheet that your team updates regularly, and you just want to run reports off of that to compare it to other information. That is all possible. That is all perfectly acceptable. So we can pull data just from an Excel sheet, for example, that is local or on a more live fashion, like in Google Drive. Both are certainly acceptable, and we can incorporate that information into the dashboards too.
Is data updated automatically, or does it need to be refreshed each time?
Yes, good question. I know it is something that does come up often, and do want to make sure we cover that here once more. The beauty about this business intelligence platform is that the data is automatically refreshed. So I know there are certain other systems out there on the market today that perhaps do require a manual refresh or such. If you're used to Excel, of course, you're certainly doing your own manual refresh just by copying and pasting and maybe downloading information. There's no need to worry about any of that headache or having to remind yourself to update anything when it comes to this platform here. It is all can be scheduled and configured to update automatically as necessary.
Then we've got two questions left. The first one, is the system cloud-based? And the second, is my data secured?
Yes, good question. So the system is a cloud-based application, so there's no need to have a server in-house to be maintained or such. It is a completely cloud-based solution. It's built and used on the Microsoft Azure platform. But yes, it is completely cloud-based in which your data is stored in that data warehouse inside of that environment. From a security perspective, it is something that we take very seriously, and I can assure you that your data is absolutely secure within this. We are FedRAMP compliant, HIPAA compliant, PCI compliant as well, GDPR compliant. We do really hit all the major milestones when it comes to security and compliancy within different industries. A lot of hospitals and government agencies are using the platform here, and they certainly rely on the security of this platform.
Very good. Well, that about wraps up our questions here, and we're coming up on our half hour. So I want to thank you, James, for giving us your time and showing us how this tool works. And I think personally we found a lot of success with it, and it's one of those things you can't be without once you get your data in the right spot. It's such an easy tool to get up and running, and it provides so much value. So with that said, if any of our viewers wants to learn more about this, you can reach out to your copy products rep, or you can reach out to myself at tmitchell@cpdos.com. And thanks again, James, and thank you everybody for joining.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Thank you for having me. And yes, looking forward to speaking with you folks. If you have questions or such, we are definitely available to talk more about how we might be able to help your organization. Thanks, everyone, and take care.
All right. Thank you. And thanks again for joining.